So let's go over objectives. Content objective says, by the end of the lesson, we will be able to identify the judicial, executive, and legislative branches of the government by explaining their own specific functions. So say these three words with me. Judicial, executive, legislative. These are our three branches of government, and we're going to be talking about the functions. The functions or the jobs they have, okay? Our language objective says students will be able to explain the functions of each branch of government by writing a short paragraph using newly learned vocabulary. So the newly learned vocabulary, it's three of those is the judicial, executive, and legislative. These are new words that you have been learning throughout the years, and they're still new to you because you need to learn about them. You need to learn what they mean and what are the roles of these three branches of government. So you're going to be writing about them during your group activity. So now, let's go on to the second thing. What do I know? Well, we're going to connect this to an event that happened recently. Remember the Black Lives Matter event and the incident that happened in Dallas? Who remembers that?
Me.
And Jasmine, what was that about? What was going on? Why did that happen?
Because the cops were being mean.
Okay, so some people believe that some cops were being mean, right? And you see the police work under the executive branch. They are the armed forces of the government, not just the military, but also your local police. And they have a job to do, and we need to know what their job is, what responsibilities they have, and that they're doing properly. Because obviously people were getting angry, right, at the police for not doing their job correctly. So now you can think back to 4th grade. Who remembers the three branches of government from 4th grade? Yasmin?
I remember one being the judicial branch.
Yes, Jasmine. And remember, it's called the judicial, with a D, judicial branch. Can you say that? Judicial? You can do it. Come on. It's not that hard. Say the judicial branch, Jasmine. Or we can try later, okay? So now we're going to be going over this chart right here. Do you know what this chart is? This is a KWL chart. It's what I think I know, what I want to know, and what I learned. So we're going to fill out the first two boxes here, the K and the W, what I think I know. So about what? About the three branches of government. So let's go ahead and write down what I think I know on your KW chart. 2 to 3 minutes so you can fill out these boxes, okay? And they only have to be short sentences. Okay, so Jackie, remember when, do you remember the branches of government in Mexico? Yes. Do you remember, do they seem familiar to these three branches of government?
Yes.
Yes, right? It's because the government of Mexico has a similar setup of branches of government. They also have the legislative, they also have the executive, and they have the judicial branch, okay? And that's why we're going to be talking about the U.S. government and its branches. Because why do you think it's important, though? Why do you think it's important for us to know these branches and what they do?
Because we need to know who makes the laws to follow.
Yeah, we do need to know who makes the laws that we are following, right? So we're going to be talking about the three branches of government, and I'm going to be modeling for you the activity we're going to be doing. So if you can pay attention, I'm going to be modeling with this construction paper that each one of you has it, okay? But before that, we're going to do one more thing. See here I have the four corners chart, and it's asking us to draw a picture. An illustration is also considered a picture it's asking us for a definition of what you think the word means. We're going to write the vocabulary word. You can choose between the judicial, executive, or legislative and write it here. You're going to put that word in a sentence, okay? So go ahead and do that. I'm going to give you 2 to 3 minutes to go ahead and do that. So now that we have completed the 4 corners vocabulary charts, we need to go ahead and I'm going to model this activity, okay? So the first thing we want to do, and just pay attention right now so that I can ask you the steps later, okay? I'm going to be folding this construction paper in hamburger style. You don't have to do it right now, but just pay attention, okay? So hamburger style, and just fold it down. It's long ways and then fold down. And then I'm going to be cutting it into 3 sections. Why 3 sections? Because we have 3 branches, the legislative, executive, and judicial branch. So we're going to cut just the top flap here. We're going to cut in 3 sections. So we'll cut here, and then we're going to cut another section here, and it will make 3 flaps, just like this, okay? So just pay attention, Jackie. I need you to just pay attention for right now. You're gonna get a chance to do it yourself, okay? So these 3 flaps will be able to flap like this, okay? So on the back, you will also put your name. Don't forget about your name. So 3 flaps. We're going to write the 3 branches of government, their names, and we're going to draw a picture here. So I'm going to write the legislative branch here. I'm going to write that word, and I'm going to make my word very legible, which means that I can be able to read it, okay? And then I'm going to draw a picture. And you see, I got this diagram here from your textbook. So when we're doing this, you're going to be reading sections off your textbook. You also have this diagram in your textbook, so you can see what those 3 branches of government do. So the legislative branch, we can see, and you have your textbook in front of you as well. So the legislative branch, there you go. It's an online textbook. So the legislative branch, as you can see, makes laws and approves them, okay? It has a picture here of the legislative branch, and we want to draw it. So let's, and now, by the way, now I'm going to draw the picture here. So if you want to draw like a box, then draw the picture inside. Not right now, Jasmine, okay? Just pay attention to what I'm doing. So I'm going to draw the picture. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to get it as closely similar to the actual picture on there, okay? And then I'm going to open the flap, and I'm going to read about the executive branch, okay? So let me go over the steps, okay? So first I cut the foldable, I made the foldable. Second, I wrote the name and drew the picture. Third, I'm going to read about the legislative branch in my textbook, okay? When you do this with your group, you're going to take turns reading, okay? This is called pair reading. So you're gonna go over what the legislative branch does, what its responsibilities are. So I'm going to put here, makes laws. And remember, this has to be in your own words and in a sentence. So you have to make a paragraph, okay? Remember our objective? Our language objective is to write a short paragraph about the functions, okay? And using these words, legislative, and using the other words I pre-taught you the day before. Remember the making laws, enforcing laws, and interpreting the laws, okay? So the legislative branch, I'm going to put the legislative branch makes laws that people will follow. What's another word for follow? Remember obey also, okay? You can also use obey. Okay, now you're going to create your own. But before that, remember what we need to do? Debrief. So I'm going to ask you the steps of what I just did. Okay, what was the first step? Can anyone tell me what I did first? Yes?
First, you write down one of the branches, and then you draw the picture.
Okay. And then what do I do after that, Yasmin?
And then you write like the definition.
I write the functions, remember? Can you say functions with me? It's one of the vocabulary words that we're learning. So functions, which also means a job. So we're going to write a short paragraph of the functions, okay? So now that we went over the steps that you will do on your foldable, you're going to do your group activity. Remember, you're going to do the flap here. You're going to do the middle flap so that you can do your executive. And then you're going to do the last flap so you can do your judicial. And then you're going to come back and you're going to do the legislative branch, okay? So let's go on to the executive. You're going to do this with your partner. So in your textbooks, you have a paragraph or two about the executive branch. I need you to take turns reading it. So go ahead. Remember to read out loud and read the words clearly, okay?
The executive?
Yes, the executive branch.
Headed by the president carries out federal laws and recommends new ones, directs national defense and foreign policy, and performs ceremonial duties. Powers include directing government, commanding the armed forces, dealing with international powers, acting as chief law.
Okay, Jackie, remember our social contract? We must listen and respect our neighbor while they are reading. Our social contract is up there on the wall. What does it say? Respect our neighbors when we are doing group work, okay? So, Jasmine, the executive branch, you see the diagram there? It also says that you need to enforce the laws, right? Enforce the laws, which means that they need to help others, right? Help others do what they need to do, like follow the laws, okay? And they do this through the policemen and the military, okay? So now that you have read, remember you need to write the name, draw the picture, and then write a short paragraph. So go ahead and do that, guys. Remember to cut your foldable. Okay, now that we have done our executive branch, let's go on to our judicial branch. So Jackie, you will need to, this time, taking turns, right? You will need to read the judicial branch part of your textbook.
Judicial branch. Headed by the Supreme Court, its powers include interpreting the Constitution, reviewing laws, and...
So Jackie, on there it says interpreting the laws. So what is one difference between the legislative branch and the executive branch?
The executive branch can veto bills that the legislative branch creates.
And also, the executive branch enforces the laws, and the legislative branch will interpret the laws, okay? So, let's go on. Now that we have finished reading, go on to your foldable, and you will do the same thing. Okay. And you will also have this example of mine for you here so that you can remember you have my example so you can look back to. Remember that your sentences should have the capital letter in front and a period at the end. Okay, and a short paragraph means that it should be 2 to 3 sentences. Okay, now that we have finished and completed our foldable, we will now have the chance to review what we have learned. Okay, so we've done our group activity, now we're going to review. So what have we learned? Well, we can go back to our content and language objectives. Our content objective, what does it say, Jackie? Oh, I mean Yasmin.
By the end of the lesson, we will be able to identify the judicial, executive, and legislative branches of government by explaining their own specific functions.
What about the language objective? You can read again.
Students will be able to explain the functions of each branch of government by writing a short paragraph using newly learned vocabulary.
Okay, so our content objective, did we learn about the legislative, executive, and the judicial branch?
Yeah.
And did we learn about their functions or their jobs that they have to do?
Yes.
How did we learn about them? Where did we put our information so we can organize them?
We put it on our foldable.
Yes, we put it on our foldable. Thank you, Jackie. And our language objectives, did we practice writing by writing a short paragraph in our foldable? Did we practice that? Expressing the functions that each branch has. You see, we did a great job today. We reached our goals, and I'd like to thank all of you for doing what you were supposed to be doing.